Most of the time, our actions and experiences are shaped by a deep-rooted life program that takes hold during our earliest years. Around 95% of our daily behavior is driven by this subconscious blueprint, laid down before we even turn 8. That's why people born into poverty often remain there, while those raised in wealth tend to stay affluent. What many call the Matrix isn't science fiction, it's a reflection of how reality is structured. Every person becomes part of this system. But until those foundational programs are installed, there's little we can do to change it. These mental patterns are absorbed during childhood, shaped by watching parents, siblings, and the surrounding environment. As a child, you observe the world like a movie playing out before you. You absorb everything: positive traits, harmful habits, limiting beliefs. By the time you're grown, you've internalized dozens, even hundreds of these programs. Many of them are self-sabotaging, passed down unconsciously from others. During those first 7 years, the brain operates in a hypnotic rhythm, tuned to slower frequencies that wire the mind. This can be measured with an EEG, which shows that a child's brain pulses in low-frequency theta waves. Theta is the realm of imagination, the reason kids can turn a broomstick into a galloping horse. These waves are real, and they're closely linked to hypnotic states. Before you can understand your behavioral patterns, you need to recognize what nature imprints on you in those early years. The programs you inherit during this time shape how you function in the world. This is how theta waves influence your development. It's how we're programmed from the start, just by watching those around us. Parents, siblings, neighbors, all of them teach us the rules of life. To be accepted, to belong, we learn these rules. And this learning isn't just crucial for childhood, it defines your future. This concept isn't new. It's explored in the well-known book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. One of its key ideas is that being born into a poor family doesn't mean you're doomed to struggle, but many never break free. On the flip side, someone raised in wealth might make foolish choices and still succeed, not because they're smarter, but because their subconscious has been wired with success-oriented behavior. They act in ways that lead to prosperity without even realizing it. The same goes for those born into poverty. Their beliefs are inherited, and they often feel powerless to change. The program they've absorbed causes them to undermine their own efforts 95% of the time. This is why wealth and poverty often persist across generations. The subconscious mind runs the show for most of our lives. Only about 5% of our time is spent in conscious, creative thought. We assume we're in control, but in truth, the subconscious is steering the wheel. The Jesuits understood this centuries ago. They famously said, "Give me a child until he is 7, and I will show you the man." They knew those early years were the programming phase, and that the rest of life would be shaped by what was learned then. So don't overthink it. Your life reflects the programs you carry. If things come easily, it's because your subconscious supports them. If you're struggling, it's likely because your internal programming resists change. You're trying to rewrite your mental code, and that's why it feels so hard. This is a psychological truth. Look at your life and ask, where do I keep hitting walls? That's where your subconscious is working against you. The conscious mind can learn through reading, listening, and reflection. It's flexible and creative. But the subconscious learns differently. In the first 7 years, it absorbs through hypnosis. After that, repetition becomes the key to installing new patterns. Think about learning to drive. You don't master it by reading a manual. You practice. The same goes for learning the alphabet, you repeat it until it sticks. Once a behavior is embedded, it runs automatically. So there are two main ways to reprogram: hypnosis and repetition. I prefer the second, because it's accessible. Let me explain. If you want to feel happy, start by repeating the phrase, "I am happy." Say it again and again until it becomes part of your belief system. Even if you don't feel it at first, keep saying it. Others may doubt you, but your job is to keep feeding that message to your subconscious. Once it accepts "I am happy" as truth, your life will begin to reflect that belief. You won't need to force it anymore. That's why people write gratitude journals and use affirmations. Daily repetition is the gateway to transformation. Make it a habit. Treat it like a ritual. Repeat it consistently, and you'll see results. Our awareness shapes our experience. We are the architects of our reality, and that's not just philosophy, it's quantum physics. We're here to grow, to explore, and to express our creative power. You are spirit, inseparable from the source. No one can sever that connection. I call it the broadcast. Right now, you're tuned into a transmission from Bruce. Bruce isn't physically present, but you're receiving his signal. That's because your cells have antennas, receptors, on their surface. These receptors allow your senses to interact with the world. Each person has a unique set of these receptors. No two people are wired the same. These self-receptors are what make us distinct. They sit on the outer membrane of your cells, picking up signals from the environment. In quantum terms, this is a frequency exchange through the energy field around us. On a spiritual level, each of us radiates a unique energy field. Who I am isn't confined to my physical form, it extends beyond, like a signal being broadcast. Think of a television. When it breaks, we say it's dead. But the transmission doesn't stop. The signal keeps flowing, whether the device is working or not. That's how I view spirituality. It's a force that exists independently of the body. Even if I were to die, my essence would remain. One day, I realized I'm more like a radio tower or a TV receiver than I ever imagined. I asked myself, why do I have a body at all? Why not exist purely as spirit? My cells seem to whisper back, are you ready to be only spirit? Physical sensations, like tasting chocolate, are part of the reason we're here. We experience the world through sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste. I could write an essay on love, but only through the body can we truly feel it. It's not just a concept, it's a lived experience. Our bodies translate the world around us into sensations, which then feed back into the source of who we are. I came here to explore how people imagine death and the idea of heaven. But the truth is, we were born in heaven, and we're the ones creating it. Many believe that if they live a good life, they'll be rewarded in the afterlife. But they miss the point. Heaven isn't a destination, it's a way of living. It's available to us right now. The life you create can be joyful or painful, that's your choice. As you begin to shape your reality, the results will show. But simply noticing that your thoughts are negative isn't enough. Thoughts carry creative power. What you say becomes part of what you manifest. We need to be present and pay attention to what flows through us. Pause. Tune in. Ask yourself, what am I thinking? There's a difference between having an intention and taking action. You can think anything you want, but nothing changes until you act. That's the hard part. Saying, I'm going to be wealthy, doesn't mean you're doing anything to make it happen. You have to take real steps. Thoughts alone are idle until you shift gears and move forward. This is where many people get stuck. They say, I'm planning, or I want this, but when asked when they'll start, they hesitate, and never begin. I used to struggle with this myself. At one point, I could have been described as manic-depressive. I had moments of joy, followed by deep lows. I was harsh on myself, convinced I wasn't smart enough or good enough. One day in the lab, I made a mistake and felt overwhelmed with frustration. A voice inside told me I couldn't do anything right. But then, another voice, clear and direct, spoke up. It said, you've got nothing better to do than listen to me. It was my own inner voice, nudging me towards something simple, go to the movies. I laughed at the idea, but I followed through. I grabbed a newspaper, found a film, and went. After a few trips to the cinema, something shifted. The depression stopped returning. I had found a new habit, one that lifted me. I realized that moving forward, even in small ways, helped me avoid falling back. I started choosing activities that brought me joy. And as I did, I began to understand where my thoughts were coming from. I turned toward positivity and repeated affirmations. My behavior became automatic. And that's the beauty of habits, they require no effort once they're in place. I love habits. They run on autopilot. So if you build a habit that truly works, you can go through your day without micromanaging your thoughts. Do whatever you want, and your good habit will carry you through like a silent guide. It's like a game. A game that plays out through you. Program it as your life, and you'll be amazed at how 95% of your reality begins to align, even without conscious effort. The brain is an information processor. In essence, it's a computer. And like any computer, it needs software to function. If you don't install programs, it can't do much. The idea is that in the final trimester of pregnancy, the brain begins to operate. The screen turns on. But it's blank until the first 95% of life is programmed. That programming happens in the first 7 years, shaped by watching parents, family, and the environment. You absorb it all like watching a movie. Every behavior you see, good or bad, gets recorded. By now, you've internalized dozens of programs. Many of them are limiting or destructive, passed down from others. My own early observations of my parents' troubled relationship left a mark. I downloaded dysfunctional behavior. Later, when I wanted healthy relationships, I had to work hard to change. But those old subconscious patterns kept surfacing, causing tension with my partner. Eventually, I changed my mindset and behavior. For nearly 45 years, I struggled with unstable relationships. But I made a choice to rewrite my program. And you can do the same. Years later, I met Margaret. We've been together for 26 years, living in harmony like newlyweds. I enjoy life, publishing books, and waking up each day in joy. Life is beautiful, and I celebrate it daily. But none of this would have happened if I hadn't changed my programming. I would have spent my life stuck in the same cycle. So now I ask you a question. It's called the 3 truths. Imagine you've created heaven on earth, and on your final day, you must leave behind everything you've built. You can only share 3 lessons with the world. What would they be? Here are mine. First, you are not a prisoner of your genetics. You have the power to influence your biology. You can shape your reality. Right now, you're free to change any program you've inherited. Second, you are, above all, a spiritual being. You are not subject to death, and that realization dissolves the fear that grips so many. My life experience has deepened my spiritual confidence. Karma reminds us that we are eternal spirits. We cannot die. We came here to create heaven on earth. Not to suffer. Not to fight. But to grow through experience. And third, heaven is here. On this planet. In this moment. Many people say, I tried to change, but it didn't work. Others say, just think positive. I've tried that too, and it didn't help. Why? Because while you're trying to think positively, you're still activating the negative programs buried beneath. Focusing only on the positive can backfire, because you're ignoring what's really driving your behavior. Let me know when you're ready to continue, and I'll keep translating in this same style.